This conference will now be recorded.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call the Village of Ephraim Board Meeting to order. It's Tuesday, July 14, 2026 at 7 p.m. And Brent, we have a quorum?
We do.
Thank you. Any changes in the agenda?
No changes, Ken.
Okay, thank you on that too. Number 4, visitors' comments. Any comments? Mr. Past President McCutcheon, since we have 3 past presidents here, I have to call him by last name.
Well, good evening, everybody. I'm Doc. I'm Mike. I'm a past president. For Justin, who is not here, if you want to get Justin riled up, don't call 911. Call Justin. Call Brent. If we just put it in the minutes, please advise everybody, if you have an emergency, call 911. They can dispatch exactly what is needed to that time. And if you call anybody else, but it takes time. Okay. I have a story to tell you. A story of a dog named Gilly and a village. This is a story of our dog, Gilly, a beautiful 2-year-old Airedale Terrier we adopted 5 weeks ago from famous Fido's Rescue in Chicago, and she had a rough start to her life. Once we met her, she stole our hearts immediately. We wanted to give her a new start in life full of love, play, walks, etc. Gilly is sweet but timid, skittish, and afraid of sudden noises. It is also the story of how the community, in a way, adopted her too. Excuse me. The backdrop is the 4th of July, a yearly celebration where our family gets together to make precious Door County memories and pay tribute to our country. We brought Gilly up for the first time, hoping that she would meet everyone and get to know Door County too. In a blink of an eye, it all changed. My sister pulled into our driveway, parked, and walked over to greet us. As my sister approached, I told my sister to go slow and let Gilly get used to her. What happened next is something that will be etched in my mind, a moment that I wish I could erase. Suddenly, Gilly sprang forward towards my sister, and the leash I was holding snapped out of my hand. In an instant, Gilly was off and running, collar and leash still connected. I ran after her as fast as I could, hoping that she would double back. She had other plans. I ran down Kew to Norway and stopped the family walking their dog. Did you see a dog pass you? They pointed down the long, empty road that lay ahead, and my heart sank. She was nowhere in sight. She was gone. My wife Wanda turned into the driveway, and I had to share that Gilly out there was lost somewhere. We both broke down, worried about everything that could happen to her, knowing that we were still a new family, and she was not familiar with her surroundings to be able to return home. The next day it was Wanda, my one sister, and myself walking up and down neighborhood roads. Norway, Dane, Spruce, calling out her name. As our family arrived one by one, some not even unpacking their cars, joined the search. I don't even know how it started. I stopped people, everyone would listen. Please be on the lookout for our runaway Gilly. And then the tide turned. Wanda called Carol Amma, and a guardian angel appeared. Many people know Carol and her husband Brett, and for so many reasons, we are blessed to have them in our lives. Carol immediately went into action, making calls to her team, Jeannie, Chris, and Pete, all her clients, Chrissy at Veterinary Facility in Sister Bay, the Department of Non-Emergency Sheriff's Office. She told Scotty, said that he let the Ephraim Fire Department know to spread the word and to let her know if there were any sightings. She was so organized, coordinated sightings, and provided people updates of the search. She was the conduit we were in no state to handle. We instantly felt there was hope we'd find Gilly. While out on a search, we got a sighting alert from Carol. We hurried over that location, but each time our hearts would sink. No Gilly. She was always on the move. When you feel like you can't get lower, you have to dig deep and believe. We asked everybody we spotted to help find Gilly. Little by little, people would reply. We know we're looking for Gilly too. Wanda reached out to dear friends Randy and Paul Miller, Ann and Larry Crow, Todd and Chris Bennett. They joined the search and made more calls. Wanda also reached out to close friend Helen Anderson, who contacted Monique McLean, and then Julie Watkins. Our neighbors Greg and Wendy were out searching, first walking, then on bicycles, then with their dog hoping to attack Gilly. Maggie Peterman searched too with her dog, Jim Peterman, in his truck, followed up on sightings and gave us terrific support. There was Duska Pearson, Kathleen DeClaire Aiden, and her son Perry, Noma Hager, Betsy Ostrin, among others. They and their husbands and children joined the search. Mandy Genie and Holly and Keo, among others, walked Anderson Pond Reserve multiple times at different times of the day and night. As the word spread about our lost Gilly, more people joined the search. It was our entire family, neighbors, even guests, friends, people we knew, complete strangers we'd never met before, people of all ages visiting and just passing through. There were walkers, bicyclists, runners. The note of Gilly was posted on Facebook. Brent Bristol sent a message to the Ephraim email, and I visited them to help out. Mark Richards stopped by to place a dog trap and provide counsel or what we should expect. Erin Frankie walked tirelessly with her dog back and forth along Pioneer. Jody Wade and Lynn Schuster, pet communicators, sending Gilly positive thoughts. Everyone was optimistic we'd find her. Word was spread all across Ephraim, Bailey's Harbor, Sister Bay, and beyond. Our brother-in-law, Denny, and Ken went to shops and restaurants, even to the Ephraim Library, to post a sign of Lost Gilly. It was a chain of support without hesitation, all hours of the day or night. People would start searching without anyone asking. If they couldn't get out to search, they sent prayers of support. Every road was covered. Settlement, Anderson, Moravia, 42, German Road, Ferguson, Larson Lane, Spruce, Q, Smith, Valentine, multiple times. There were sightings on Anderson Road, German Road off 57. She was spotted crossing east on 57 into Mud Lake along Pioneer, crossing west on 57 back to Town Line, and on to Wilder Lane the first time, and then Wilder Lane the second time, where she was found. With the leash tangled around a tree by our Paul Pillett and his family. Miraculously unharmed, Gilly's extreme adventure started late the afternoon of Wednesday, July 1st, and she was found the afternoon of July 5th. 4 excruciating, sleepless, painful days and nights for all of us, but we got our happy ending. We were overwhelmed with the emotion because of Lost Gilly, but also because of how the community came together to our aid during a busy holiday week, and they took time out of their lives to help. It was humbling. No words to describe the depths of emotions we were feeling. Mandy shared the quote, "It takes a village," from Hillary Clinton's 1966 children's book. It encapsulated the essence of what we experienced perfectly. This was a big deal for the entire community, and everyone came together in our cause. Where do you start to thank individuals without missing someone? There are those who searched, those who sent prayers, those who provided support by spreading the word, and those who gave us hugs and a shoulder to cry on, and words of encouragement to believe she'd be found. There are also so many. We apologize if we didn't include everybody who helped in any way. We literally had an army of support who rallied in our time of need. We especially thank the entire village of Ephraim, our home village, and those who helped in Bailey's Harbor, Sister Bay. We could not have done it without all those wonderful people of Door County. We hope that anyone who loses their pet will have the same happy ending as we did. This is truly a special place, more than just its beauty, but also its people. Sincerely, Kevin, Wanda, and Gilly McDonald.
Thank you, Mike.
You bet.
It's a nice story for a nice village. Okay, any other visitors' comments? Or you can speak when the item comes up if you wish. Hearing none. Number 5 is approval of previous minutes. I believe there's 3 sets of minutes that we need to approve.
I move to approve June 9th, 2026 regular board meeting minutes as presented.
Thank you, Carly. In a second.
Second.
Thank you, Tim. Any other changes? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved.
I move to approve the June 18th, 2026 closed session meeting minutes as presented.
Thank you, Carly. A second.
I'll second.
Thank you, Tim. Any additional comments or changes? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. And one more.
I move to approve the June 22nd, 2026 special board meeting minutes as presented.
Thank you, Carly. In a second.
I'll second.
Thank you, Tim. Any changes? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, approved. President's comments, number 6. I would like to take the opportunity to share some great news, and that is that the village acquired a new piece of property. Yesterday afternoon, we acquired the piece of property north of the Firehouse Marina. And I want to thank Keith Christ, who's with us this evening, and his relatives, the Rispens, for giving the village the first opportunity to come to an agreement with the family on purchasing the property. And like I say, yesterday, we closed, so it's now officially the village's. And we'll talk a little more about it when we get down to the item. Okay, consensus agenda items.
I move to approve the consent agenda items as presented.
Thank you, Carly. In a second. Thank you, Rick. Any comments?
Yeah, I will abstain.
Okay. Then no other comments. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and one, Tim abstains. All right, 8, administration. Presentation of quarterly report by the Ephraim Business Council. I see Kelsey and Lane are both here, so the floor is yours.
Thanks, everybody. As Ken said, my name is Kelsey and this is Lane, and we are here for our quarterly presentation from the Business Council. Go ahead.
First of all, we'd like to talk quickly about Fearball, and we had a very successful one this year. It was the 61st. We had a beautiful day, great attendance, great feedback from the community and visitor alike. We had great activities and excursions that ran really well this year. Weather conditions were much better than last year when we tried them for the first time. Eating contest, we had record-breaking cherry pie eating. This year was huge. It was like double the size of previous years, so we had to scramble a little bit, but we got through that. It was amazing, huge crowd. Flower crown baking, that was really successful too, and also really cool to tie in kind of our Scandinavian heritage of the village into some of the activities. So it was just a really, really wonderful day. And we also worked with Door County Emergency Services in the village of Ephraim to make sure that things were safe, and there were new safety barricades that were installed in the north and south end of the road closure on 42, which actually we worked through a lot of logistics with that, but it went well as well. So we were able to create a safe festival.
As I'm sure everyone in this room knows, our great BD Thorpe was named the 61st Fearball Chieftain, and very well deserved. And our medallion, which is pictured there, which was given to BD, was made by local artist John Balistrieri of Balistrieri Fine Art. And John handcrafted that beautiful medallion that now BD gets to keep. And anybody who was in person heard his wonderful speech all about his Ephraim roots. So we're very happy for BD and very well deserved, as we said.
Be a little careful. He's online. He's a very modest man, I found out.
Actually, yeah, exactly. And everything I said online right now, I would say to his face too. So.
Did want to say thank you to all the people who helped support our fireworks show this year. So it is definitely a big ticket item, very popular, huge attendance for this. So we want to thank all those businesses and community members and visitors who decided to help support us with some donations. We also wanted to say thank you to a bunch of other people who really helped make the day what it is. A lot of businesses who also help support, and also a huge thank you to Brent, Kim, Andrea, and Justin, who really always were there to answer questions, help support, and work through things as we needed to make the festival a success.
Yeah, it's a team effort for sure.
Definitely.
All right. And that actually, we tried not to focus too much. We don't want to take up too much of your time on a big agenda. But Fearball is, we were very happy with the turnout, and we're already mostly booked for next year because that's how it works. The second it ends, we get everything ready for next year. So all of the really boring things like the toilets and the dumpsters and the tent and chairs and all of that, it's already booked. So Fearball 2027, it's happening. All right. Anyway, North End Path, I know obviously all 5 of you were there. We did a wonderful celebration of the North End Path the day, 2 days after Fearball, which was just a wonderful day. We had fantastic feedback from all of the businesses, which are listed on the poster there. Businesses on both sides of the highway, but on the north end of town, did various open houses or sidewalk sales or just pop-up tents with information. And we had a really great turnout of people walking up and down the path, checking it out. That was also the kickoff to our first farmers market of the season. And it was just a really great celebration of Ephraim. It felt like a great Ephraim day, obviously coming right off of Fearball as well. So spirits were high, the weather was great. And Ken, you did a great job cutting the ribbon. So
Eventually.
you're a pro. All right. And then next, we just want to touch briefly on Evenings in Ephraim. I've seen a few of you there, which is great. We've had great weather. Well, yesterday was really, really hot, but still better than rain. We've had our farmers market going off at the Red Potter every Monday from 3 to 6 p.m. And then our concerts right here in Harborside Park from 6 to 8. And they've both been very well attended. We are 3 or 4 in now, and we have 7 left. So they go until the end of August. So hopefully I can see all the rest of you at the farmers market and at the concerts as the season goes on, because it really is just a great day for the community.
And we've also, since the beginning of May, we've had the Visitor Information Center open. So right across from the old post office. We have 4 greeters on staff this year. They're all amazing, very knowledgeable about Ephraim, and really excited about Ephraim too, which is always fun to have people on staff who love Ephraim so much. And our hours are open 10 to 5, Monday through Saturday, 10 to 3 Sunday. So if you ever want to stop in.
Get yourself an Ephraim hat, Ephraim t-shirt. Anything you can put Ephraim on, we've got. All right. And yeah, we just want to thank you as the village board and also just the village. Again, Brent, Andrea, Kim, we couldn't do it without all of you. So thank you. And if anybody has any questions, we'd be happy to take them.
I would just like to thank EPC for putting together the ribbon cutting, because we had talked about doing something, but with your help and basically you all put it together. You even found us the scissors to make the whole thing happen.
We made it
So
happen.
It was great. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Any other questions, comments?
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All righty. B. Discussion and consideration regarding distribution of $10,529.28 received from the tourism zone, the 250th anniversary celebration. And if you don't mind, I'd like to kick this one off. And in April of just this past April, Matt, Missy, and I sit on the Door County Tourism Zone. And I brought up the fact that the 250th anniversary of our country's coming up, and what are we going to do to make it special? And there was some discussion. We didn't really reach a conclusion. But meanwhile, for those, without getting into the weeds, our tourism zone has excess money beyond what they give to Destination Door County to do the advertising. So there's money sitting there in a pile. And at the next meeting, I was pleasantly surprised where they came up with the idea of distributing $100,000 back to the 16 municipalities that contribute to the room tax, and divide it by the amount of money each municipality contributes. So we ended up getting a check for $10,529.28. I don't know if we physically have the check yet. We do have the check. Good. So what I asked to take the floor is, I had a suggestion. The village, we had planted an elm tree, and eventually, right now a bronze is being made and it's going to be mounted to a rock, and we'll eventually, I hope, have a little celebration with presenting the elm tree and presenting the dedication. And the whole cost of that is maybe $2,000, round numbers, I don't know. I was going to recommend to the board that we give the rest of the money to the Ephraim Business Council. Because when I made the suggestion, I said for things like fireworks and so forth, it would be a one-time transfer from the village. But so I'd like to kick it off with that suggestion and see how others feel on the board.
Is that a motion?
I'd rather not to make the motion, but I'll certainly take one. We don't know the exact dollars yet because I don't think we have the final dollars on the tree and the plaque and so forth.
I will just update that I heard from Cody that he has the plaque and it's been dropped off for the mounting. So
Good,
it
good.
should be relatively quickly done.
Soon, good. Comments are on the suggestion?
I think it's a really good idea. I recognize that it's a one-time thing, but I know that, again, I wear two hats in a lot of situations. And I think it would make a really big difference and go a long way to the business council and kind of all of the ongoing expenses and fireworks associated with Fear Ball, which was a big success.
Tim, comments?
I think, yeah, we're looking for a place for the excess money to go, I guess, to the business council. They're the ones who generated that money to begin with, so I
Mhm.
don't see a problem with that.
Mhm.
I'm a little underwhelmed that they decided to split $100,000, but I won't poison the well.
Considering they have over $2 million in excess. I wish they would have gone a little more, but that's where they went.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's a little bit of something instead of a whole lot of nothing.
Yeah, okay. Matt?
I agree with it in consensus.
Okay. Rick?
I agree with it. I don't know if this is the right question, but can we ask the business council to earmark those for fireworks for next year?
I suppose we can,
Be appropriate, given the reason why we got it, all of that.
yeah. I mean, if you look at we did get a memo from the Door County Tourism Zone, and they, mentioned to provide potential upgrades or reduce the cost burden events that are planned. Well, and it was a little late in the game, in fairness to them, because we couldn't have ordered fireworks if we wanted to, or change our fireworks order. But as long as we had the order in and that was the celebration, I don't know if I'm sure they're put it to good use for next year. Okay, that sounds good. Can I have a motion?
I move to approve the balance of the $10,529.28 less the cost of the Liberty Tree be transferred to the Ephraim Business Council for future fireworks.
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye, opposed? Okay, great. Let's go on to C now. Discussion and consideration regarding Village of Ephraim capital reserve funds for Anderson Dock maintenance, endowment, and fund usage guidelines. Mike, do you want to speak to this or just a discussion with the board? Maybe I'll open it up a little bit. Matt and I, for a number of years, have been talking about going through our capital accounts, and the village sets aside money for probably 12.5 different items. And one of the items that we set aside money for over the years was called the Anderson Dock Cement. And the purpose of that, and Tim, you might have been here when it was established, but to do repair work for Anderson Dock. And right now we have $33,800 in that capital account. In addition, we have been putting toward that account every year $1,988. I can't say I know where that exact number came from, but say about $2,000. So a month ago, we had a discussion of capital accounts. And one of the things we had talked about is we could rename this capital account if we wanted and make it for just the Anderson Dock. And whether it be for maintenance or replacement funds, whatever. And we could continue to contribute the $2,000 to it, which over 50 years would be 100,000. The one point I wanted to make is after Matt and Justin and Andrea and Brent and I went through these accounts, we're probably not setting aside enough money right now to these accounts. And when we took another pass at it, I think Andrea added it up, and I think we're about $20,000 short on how much we have to contribute. And I'm not talking just Anderson Dock, I'm talking about all the different accounts, replacement of trucks, replacement of fire vehicles and so forth. So to just keep that in mind. But the question, Mike asked for verification. What do we mean last month when we said we were going to set money aside? And then another idea that came up that Brent brought up, should we have two different accounts? Should we have an account that the village is setting aside and then potentially another account depending on contributions? Should that be held separately? So I kind of open up to that. The first thing is we could turn that $33,800 over into an Anderson Dock replacement fund if we wanted, or Anderson Dock maintenance. I mean, the intention right now is, and Tim, I'd ask you, because you were probably here when it was established, was to maintain the concrete.
Yeah, it was meant, originally that specifically, that's what it was about. Obviously, that money has not been spent. If you've seen the concrete down at Anderson Dock. And in fact, the money that's been put aside probably isn't even close to enough to do that. Hence the reconstruction project that we're now involved in. I think if that got, in my opinion, turning that into a reconstruction account,
Okay.
reconstruction fund, is probably along the right lines. Right now we're looking at a reconstruction or a refurbish, whatever you want to call it, at Anderson Dock. I think it's north of 1.7 million that we're planning on starting, not this fall, but next fall. But putting something aside every year, whether we can put enough aside to cover the reconstruction, fully cover reconstruction in 50 years, and just using that as our goal, or not. It'd be nice to have something more than $30,000. We should start looking at putting more money aside. And I think a lot of our discussion tonight could be on, where would that money come from?
Right.
We're not going to raise taxes for it.
Yeah.
But we should try to redirect somehow.
Okay. Well, one of the things that will come up as part of the whole budget process is going through these capital accounts. But the point I wanted to make is that, oh, I'm sorry, Mike. I was scratching my arm. Come on up.
Thank you. One of the reasons that this committee, or we don't call it a committee, but needs money from the village, the question we feel we might be asked is, this is a municipally owned structure and dock. And people are going to say, well, what is Ephraim doing to kick into this? And so that's how this was generated, as to what can the village do? And the idea of a capital account and money that would be donated to that would really be helpful in us answering that question. When we we're working with the Door County Community Foundation, McCoy, they've been very helpful for us. And sort of halfway through this, Brett also came up with, well, you ought to try for $1 million endowment. We haven't collected any money yet. Not that we expect the village to fund all of that, but it would be good if someone did ask us to say, yes, there is an account that is put aside and the village is pledged to donate money to it over the years. So that's why I'd say to all of you, this is important for the project.
Add,
Sure.
just in communication And with the people at Destination Door County, with the Door County Community Foundation is what we really are hoping to get, and this will go into the materials, is like, what is going to be the source? How can we guarantee that there is, I mean, this concept of the 50-year fund is one that sounded really good to the fundraising group. And it's something that can be attributed to the village. It can be a part of the conversation when we're talking to potential donors. And it's something that says, this is going to be the solution in 50 years instead of having to do a whole nother fundraising.
Reconciliation on the slush fund and what her name was showing there, because obviously it was a.
And so the idea is to be able to go back to the fundraising group to say, this is how the village is planning on funding it. And I personally like this idea of using money that has already been, I mean, the number $20,000 a year has been thrown out there. The idea of having a fund that we already have $33,000 in, we can say it's already been seated with the 33, and then we have to say during budget, we are going to be able to look at these funds to, I mean, and I guess by the time we even start the project, we would be able to have a more concrete answer, but we need something now, is to be able to say we have this seeded fund and we plan to figure out how to fund it more fully going forward.
Well, I thought part of the idea of the fundraising, initially we were talking about just paying for the construction. And then I think it was Bacoy that suggested, well, we can probably fundraise for an endowment. So in a way, I think we're getting the cart in front of the horse by the village say, well, we're going to commit to putting aside $1 million, which should be, you know, in today's dollars, 2/3 or 2/3. And I think the other thing we'll struggle with is this last year, our taxes were up to our limit as set by the state legislation. So we would have to find a place to put more in. I'm sure we could put the 2,000 in, but to sit here and say 20, you know, that'll have to be a discussion. Now, 2,000 times 50 to get us to 100, and that would be then 133 or 5 or 35,000 that we would have. And I think you could tell the donors that what exactly we're doing, that we got this amount of money set aside. We're going to look at the budget every year. I think 2 years from now, we'll probably have our answer exactly where we sit, you know, from the fundraising and see how it goes. Because eventually come 50 years, and part of me says somebody that's not in this room tonight is going to solve this problem. Because 50 years, I don't know about the rest of you, but I'm not going to be sitting here. So it's kind of like the problem that was given to us. And I think we're doing a pretty good job. But do you think that would help your task force, that amount of information, Mike?
Yeah, it would.
Okay.
But learning how to ask for money.
I don't envy you, friend. It's a
We
hard
can
thing.
always, and from the rest of us on this, what do we call this thing?
Task force.
Task force, right, okay. We're lucky to have these two folks here as members of the board, so they know what's going on, and if we're not around, they can tell you. And they've been of great help in talking with Brent, talking with you, everybody, so we're thankful for that. And just as much as you can get, and it will truly, I mean, if we can get this thing really going, okay, then I think the worry is over, because then, you know, for those who don't understand, 60 to 70% of the money will be raised in secret. And then we will go out to the general public and everything else. So I think if we can get through that, we'll get through it all right. But I think this is a start, and we'll certainly come back and tell you what they're telling us as we go on bended knee.
Well, and as you know, we'll start the budgeting process in certainly September. So that's where we'll start to talk seriously. So we can even have more information, and, you know, it's up to the board of what we're going to put into this. We
Okay,
can have that discussion again
fair enough.
as you're in the midst of the fundraising.
Okay, thank you.
If that is enough on that, could you remain up here, Mike?
I do have to just
Oh.
make sure that we talk about one other thing because
Okay.
one of the other components that needs clarification, and I guess this was my understanding from the board, and I wanted to reiterate that,
Uh-huh.
make sure it was clear with the fundraising group, is that, so we have the construction costs
Mhm.
and then anything raised above that would go into an endowment.
Mhm.
And as a board, we've discussed, we like the idea of using any additional funds raised to go towards like graffiti abatement or any sort of potential extra programming that we might be able to host now that there's
Oh.
improvement made. So if that's the case, we need to kind of make sure that that's still what everyone agrees to. Because Brent and I have just done a little bit of trying to figure out how we would even put a number to those concepts. Because then we could say, if we go $500,000 past our goal,
Mhm.
then that money could go towards these items. So not, because I know that we've also talked about potentially it could go towards the 50-year fund.
Right.
But we have to be very clear when people are giving us their money,
Mhm.
what that money is going for. So we can't conflate the two. So I just want to make sure it's all very clear and yes. period.
We could have more than one capital account. We could have a capital, like a replacement account and a maintenance account.
That's what
Yeah.
Carly and Brent and I had
Mhm.
discussed, was two separate accounts. One very specifically for reconstruction costs on the dock. And, you know, ideally, that wouldn't be touched for 50 years if, heaven forbid, you know, the ice shoves and
Right.
wipes the warehouse off the dock, we'd probably be dipping into it early.
Right.
But that would be one fund. Another fund, and this would be one where donors would have a real say in where their money, you know, is going. Is, you know, and this is in the happy event that, you know, we have enough money for immediate reconstruction. Is, do they want to see their donation go towards that 50-year reconstruction or towards, I hate to call it endowment. I don't like that word.
Mhm.
It's not, to me, it's not the right word, but you know, the year to year
Maintenance?
extra maintenance,
Yeah,
you know, I don't know even what to call that, you know, how to put it, but you're right. That's what I'm talking about is, you know, whether it's graffiti, you know, the two things that come to mind are graffiti and possibly programming, extra programming support.
Okay.
You know, we should come up with a name for that,
Yeah.
that describes well. But that is, we would need in the village, we would need two separate
Right,
accounts to make that work.
Maybe as you start fundraising and as we go into our budgeting, we'll have a better idea of what we want to call those accounts, because we can set up what we want.
We're separating the funds that would be used. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm still learning this process, but we're separating these funds from those funds that are generated by slip fees. That's in a separate
Slip
account.
fees
Oh, yeah.
have
Oh, totally
absolutely
separate.
nothing to do.
But, okay, the Anderson dock, that would include dredging, that would include everything
Right.
that we're not talking about with this reconstruction.
Correct.
We're talking about a capital account, we're talking about rebuilding those things that would not be paid for through slip fees.
Right.
And maintaining things that are not having to do with slip fees.
Yeah, reconstruction, we can go over that. The reconstruction plan that AECom has helped develop, that describes very well what the reconstruction funds will go for. And no part of marina operations, well, virtually no part of marina operations are involved. There's one little section of utility trench that will be put in for the benefit of the marina, and the marina is going to be paying for that.
So it's separated completely from
Yeah.
marinas and moorings. Okay.
I guess I also just want to say, because I know that we've talked about like the regular maintenance, that is what we always pay for. That's
Right.
not part of what we're
Right.
talking about. We're like, in my mind, if this is helpful for people, we do some power washing on our
Mhm.
own because we have a power washer. But there have been quotes received that, if we need a larger scale using different products or different types of pressure washers, we've received quotes on that. That would be a different, like outside of the village's capabilities, would that be what we would pull for endowment funds?
Right.
So those are like the difference, because I would say otherwise that's just regular general
Right.
maintenance and hard to
Yeah.
pull out from what they do on a regular basis.
Yeah, I think the huge first step is, deciding one or two accounts and how or what would be earmarked to be used from those accounts. Because again, just looking at, that kick that can a month or two down the road to budget time. Again, I'm not going to try to get in the weeds, but where do you come up with $20,000? You all also talked about just the general fire trucks, the equipment funds potentially being a little short. I think I can say we are in better shape than we thought we were. I think going in, some felt we were going to be shorter than we were. But given restrictions as far as how much increase we can have to levy tax, we're looking at some potentially radical change to where you're going to come up with $40,000. We don't have that from our operational budget that we can just find. So now you're looking to potentially make contributions from room tax, from Pratt to seed some future capital, which again, I like that rather than using room tax or Pratt for operational funds. So I do like that concept, but also realizing that while we still have healthy amounts in those two accounts, being room tax and Pratt, we did or have done and are in the process of, again, another discussion on admin between that, North Path, maintenance garage. We've also used a great deal of those funds too. So that's where I think the first and foremost, establish what we want the accounts to be used for. Yes, establishing what a goal would be, but understanding that while we do have some significant capital projects currently in the works, that list, while it will be replaced with things as time goes on, we're not flush with cash in those areas too. So once we get a couple of these others, I don't want to say you can play catch up, but our contribution to say this capital account for Anderson Dock this year might look drastically different than what we could afford to contribute to it 3 years from now.
Any other comments on that? Okay. Okay, then let's go on to D. And the reason I asked you to stay up, Mike, is D is discussion and consideration regarding the Anderson Dock Fundraising Focus Group term extension. You might not have realized, but your term expired last month, and I hope you didn't realize, because what we're here to do tonight is to extend your term, if you are so willing.
I'll make you a deal.
Oh, here we go. Oh, I walked right into this one.
I am in this until you don't want me in it, and I'll carry it through to the end.
Well, I have no doubt that you treat it like that. What I was going to suggest is that we extend it for 2 years. And the reason I say 2 years, that would take us to the summer of 28. And by that time, we're going to know all the answers to the questions we're asking right now. And that should give the fundraising task force enough time to complete their work, and we'll complete the project, hopefully.
That's a big deal. I'd be happy to.
Okay, thank you. We should probably have a motion to that, because we originally had it as a 1-year task force, and task force require a termination date.
Is it okay if we call it focus group as it is in the agenda, or should we call it a task force?
Well, I guess we use those interchangeable, so it'd be fine. I think the thing is actually called a task force. Yeah, so let's use a task force.
Okay, I move to extend the Anderson Dock Fundraising Task Force 2 years.
Second.
Any additional discussion?
With Mike McCutcheon heading it up.
Oh,
I'll still second it.
Okay. Any final discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you, Mike. Appreciate it. Okay. Then let's go on to E, discussion consideration regarding combination Class B and Class C alcohol beverage retailers license. We've got two that I think we can do together. We've got Project Zulu LLC, DBA Bad Moravian Ephraim Coffee Lab at 3055 Church Street. And we also have the Wilder Inn LLC, DBA Wilder Inn at 10013 Popular Street. And both those need a fire and health inspection also.
I have to abstain from the first one. So I
Okay,
don't know if we can do it at the
I
same
will
time.
move to approve the combination Class B and Class C alcohol beverage retailers license at Project Zulu LLC, DBA Bad Moravian / Ephraim Coffee Lab at 3055 Church Street, and the Wilder Inn LLC, DBA Wilder Inn 10013 Poplar Street, on the basis that they passed the fire and safety inspections.
thank you, Matt. And a second?
Second.
Any additional discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And Carly, you abstain from that?
Mhm.
Okay, thank you. Okay, let's go on to F. Discussion and consideration regarding Door County Emergency Communication Tower Project intergovernmental agreement and easement and exemption from Ephraim Tower Ordinance. Brent, you've been sitting there not saying much, so here you go.
I'll try to be brief and give you the planning committee involvement in this, and then being that the county is well represented, I'll let them draw straws and decide who's going to speak to it. But our attorney, along with County Corp Counsel, has been through the documents and reached an agreement, some common ground relative to the terms of the lease and the intergovernmental agreement. Consistent with the process, this went before our plan committee 2 weeks ago. Ultimately, they passed a recommendation of the board to approve the intergovernmental agreement, to approve the easement, and to approve the waiver of applicable and necessary parts of our tower ordinance within our code. With that, I think the only thing that has changed is planning committee passed a recommendation to consider, because in previous board discussion, we had asked them to push this back to the farthest, I call it the southeast corner of our lot out on German Road. They thought it might be nice to move that a little bit to the northwest, just to provide a small vegetative buffer with the existing trees. It's not a massive move, but at least it would leave a small cluster of trees on both the eastern and southern boundary between that. The fence compound and then the tower compound and the property lines.
And the county said at that time that they were fine with that
Yep.
adjustment. Do we need questions of the county, or do we want to take action on this? Are there any questions before I ask Ken to come up? If not, I'd take a motion.
I move we approve the intergovernmental agreement that's presented regarding the communications tower on the German Road property. Also approve the easement that's required to provide access road and the property surrounding the tower as shown on these documents. And also, I guess, to waive applicable village ordinance regarding towers for this project and this project only.
Thank you, Tim. A second?
Second.
Thank you, Rick. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Thank you for attending, Ken. Sir? Okay, let's go on to G. Discussion and consideration regarding administration, building, project planning, design, and options. And maybe I'll ask Brent if you want to kick it off here.
That went quicker than I was anticipating. Yeah, I guess to start, Carly, Ken, and I have met again, along with Andre and Kim with Keller regarding the project plans. We've given them the feedback from our last meeting in which option 3 was removed as a viable option moving forward. And one of the big things that was discussed at that last meeting was just, whether or not improvements could be made to this facility long-term. So that was something we did when we met with Keller. We had them come take a look. There's some detail within this that speaks to, in their mind, what would be necessary, I guess, to make this work the best it possibly could for meetings long-term.
And speaking about this, we're talking about right here.
This,
As
the
we
Village
said.
Hall
Yeah.
building, correct. The one I just realized now, I did get a letter from Bruce and Cindy Nelson before we went into, or I guess to supplement this, but I got it weeks ago and forgot to send it on to the board, included in this packet. But one of the things you'll see within the documentation and what they relayed, and I'll forward this to the board certainly, was a recommendation to encouraging the board to heed the opinions of staff when it comes to what they think from a option standpoint would best serve administrative staff need, and then kind of trying to hammer the point of, from a audience member standpoint, just the challenges that this building represents or results in from a spectator standpoint. It's a big, beautiful, but cavernous space. So that's, obviously all of our trustees, chair and serve on other committees, but it's a point that they wanted to make is just to think beyond just the atmosphere and the experience when you're sitting at this table. But from an audience standpoint, it's a less than desirable option. Honestly, I think it was, language was used that if they really want to hear what's going on, they just as soon tune in from home and they can hear what's going on better online than they can sitting in the audience. So anyway, I digress from that. But so Ken, Carly, and I put together an updated kind of summary sheet. It speaks to project costs and a little more information, starting with kind of highlighting what the problems are with the existing conditions. We added some additional monies in there in the option 1 scenario, in which we would renovate the existing footprint of the existing administrative building, coupled with necessary changes to this building for long-term use from a meeting standpoint. Probably in addition to the audio video, the maintenance time, administrative time to facilitate and get ready for meetings. The other one that came up that honestly, at least speaking for myself, I didn't consider until Devin was down here from Keller, was the stage itself, where committees and trustees sit for meetings, is not accessible. So on top of the limited space we have, we really should, if we're asking, any community member that could serve on a committee of the village, there's no accessibility ramp to access the stage to allow them to serve if they were so inclined. So that was a fairly large development that I personally hadn't considered. And then the only other, and I certainly was a part of it, but really I appreciate Kim and Andrea taking the time to put together the additional memo. That's the first document that, I guess, a preamble to all of this is put the administrative point of view together relative to the overall scope and intent and desires of this project. So with that, Ken, I don't know if we want to walk through options, set the stage for what a goal is, but certainly
It probably
I'll
would,
contribute more as we go.
Okay, yeah,
Question.
Before we go down this rabbit hole,
Mhm.
we need to,
turn on your mic, buddy. There you go.
before we go down this rabbit hole, we need to figure out where we want to have the meetings. If we want to continue to have meetings here, this board, okay, that influences the plan for the administration building, because then we don't need all the meeting space.
Right.
So before we start discussing these options, we should decide, do we want to invest in having meetings here first?
I think that's an excellent idea. Carly and Brent and I met with the architect. I don't know, that was a week or two ago. And then the meeting was running kind of long. So Brent and I walked with the architect back to this building. And we said, here's what we're trying to do in this building. How can we make a permanent stage? And we took the plan committee because that's our biggest committee. So we have 7 members. And if we're going to make it permanent, we need the administrator to sit up here and the minute taker. So we have 9 stations. He immediately concluded we can't widen this thing out because we're going to need a ramp to get up here. This is not accessible. And we're going to need an escape or to get back to the elevator. So he assumed we have to work with this width of the stage. So in looking at it, he said, you're going to have a U-shaped layout. And he suggested the way to do that would be to widen the stage 10 to 12 feet. That's number 1. And then number 2, in order to build a permanent build, is that right? What I meant, depth, yeah.
Depth.
To extend it into the main room, 10 to 12 feet. And then in order to make this secure, because if we're going to build a permanent station for all of us and put in all the equipment and so forth, we'd probably have, I kind of imagine some kind of an accordion closing of this where we would close it off. So then we started talking about what would that do to this room? You know, our entranceways would change. We would probably be pushing beyond that first window into the second windows. Then we started talking about how do we impact all the public uses of this. When we have music in the park, when we have the pancake breakfast, how would this operate if the stage is gone forever? We'd have no more stage and we'd have a smaller space. So I guess what struck me more than anything else is I couldn't quite imagine modifying this building to that degree. Given, we know that the stage isn't original to the building, but no one's been able to say, and I don't think Keith knows, when the stage was built. You don't, right? That's what we assume. It has different flooring, so it appears it was an addition. But as we started talking about making that radical of a change, besides the fact, and he gave us, it was a number, you know, as an educated guess, I guess, of an architect, but he's probably talking a couple $100,000 to do it all. But what struck me the most is how do we do it and would we want to do it? The other thing to consider, this not being a big problem, but we have an elevator in the back. You have to call for, you can't call for the elevator outside. The way it's set up right now, somebody has to go and send the elevator down. And our handicap parking is over here. So if we were to really use this building long-term, we should also consider probably some type of ramp. One of our staircases becoming a ramp on the front.
Instead of modifying the elevator?
No, just to get people closer to parking or get some parking back by the elevator. Either way.
Well, yeah.
But it's not an extremely accessible building to the public to begin with. And then the stage itself is really not accessible if we have a member. And we've had a couple hip replacements on the plan committee and people have struggled getting up and down for the first 6 weeks. And that wasn't a permanent issue, but it was a temporary issue. Mm-hmm. So maybe that's the first thing. Do we want to dive into a reconstruction of this forward half of this building?
I think based on, if I remember correctly, when Rick kind of proposed this idea, I mean, it does, the village hall, it makes sense to have a village meeting. But once we start having these conversations, part of the idea of having it at the village hall is because of it's such a beautiful location. It is such a historic kind of central location to the village. But then if we start modifying it, we're taking away from what we actually value about the building. So, I mean, not to start the discussion off negatively, but I really appreciate Matt's perspective of like, are we willing to make these changes? I don't think I would be happy with making those major changes to this building, and I don't think a lot of people would either.
One other observation, the architect, just to finish off his comments, is he immediately observed the floor and the walls as being hard. And the problem we have with the acoustics in here, the problem that, you know, I have to remember to talk loud enough so you can hear besides the people at home. It's very hard to wire this in such a way that the people in person, the people at home can equally hear. And he said we'd also have to consider changing the hard surfaces in the building if we really wanted to do well acoustically. So I'll stop there with the architect.
I guess my first question thank you. Is the architect who is opining as to the changes that would be needed here, is this the same architect that is doing the work on the admin building, whatever we're doing up there?
That is Kelly, yeah, same guy.
Okay. I think before we would really talk about what would be needed here, I think we need a second opinion on that. So it strikes me that there's some solutions in search of a problem there. That's just my impression. I may be wrong about that. I think having the meetings in the village hall go far deeper than what has been discussed. It's symbolic too. My concern, if we, you know, as a village, you know, corporate body, if we abandon this building from an official use, I'm worried about what this building becomes. I mean, this building is important to the identity of this village. And this building, I think it would be a feather in our cap if we continue to make this building a viable building in the 21st century. I don't want to see this building become an ornament, which is what I fear this building is going to become. It's going to become another ornament in the village. And then future boards, future discussions are going to be, well, we got to fix this, we got to fix that, and we're not using it. I don't like that idea. I think that this building can be used. I think that if we are creative, we can use this building, that we can fix this building. Now, how that applies to options 1, 2, 3, or 4, my thought is kind of like the same thing I was talking about with the administrative building. We would never let that get torn down. We're never going to let that become run down. And so anything we do here, we're going to fix that building. And I looked at the letter from the staff, and I think that those were all excellent points. The problems with the snowstorm and the problems possibly with mold and asbestos. That's all got to get fixed no matter what we do. We're doing that no matter what, even if there's not a single person working in that admin building, which, as an aside, if I'm wrong, was that designed by the same architect that designed this building? I believe I read that somewhere. So nothing bad is going to happen to that building. We're going to fix it. Even if we build a new building on the same property, we're still going to maintain it. We're still going to maintain this building. But we have to ask ourselves, a village with a building this iconic, this historic, so this important to this village, are we going to just let this be, well, that's where we used to hold meetings. This is just an ornament. Are we going to this is where we have pancakes twice a summer. That's what this is going to be used for? I don't like that idea. I don't like that idea at all. I think that we can get a second, maybe a third opinion for something as important as this, is the future use of this building. And have them, I think we can get some opinions that are maybe a little bit less, I don't know. I mean, maybe a little bit smaller project. I'd like to see if that's possible. Wouldn't just rule it out. As it applies to options 1 or 2, even if we, like I said at the last meeting, I think option 1 or 2, I'm in favor of either one of those. I think those are the two. But if it's $100,000 to fix this village hall, then we need to tack that on to the price in here of option 2. You know, so I think we should do it no matter what. I just think that we should improve the tech capabilities of this building no matter what we do, so that the building can be used. I think it would just be awful if this building just was the place we eat pancakes twice a summer. I just think that that's a wrong move.
Do you think it's a reasonable assumption, though, that if we're going to permanently build seating for 9 up here for the plan committee and the administrator and the minute taker, that we would have to isolate, that'd have to be permanent, and then the stage would be lost in any option we do?
I think we need a second and or third opinion to whether or not that is what we would have to do here.
Okay.
It just seems as though that the architect who's involved in the project up there is giving us a very involved way to do this here. I want to have a
Yeah.
second and third opinion on that.
Okay. We can look at someone different.
I just think for something as
I
important.
don't think he really has a dog in that fight, because he feels we're going to do something somewhere.
Well, and we
So,
are. There's no, I think it's going to, I mean, just to predict, I think it's going to be option 1 or 2.
Yeah.
You know, and so, and he's got the right, so I'm not making any allegations here.
Mhm.
But I do think that I'm a little suspicious that it has to be all of that.
Okay.
And I mean, I guess the other question is, I mean, you know, why are we having the meetings now? If this building is so deficient, you know.
COVID.
Okay.
We didn't come down here to COVID.
That's 6 years ago.
Well, I'm just saying, that's
Yeah,
what drove us down here.
That's 6 years.
And I don't
ago.
know for how many years we were at the admin building. Keith, when you were president, did we meet at the admin building? This building? Does anyone remember when we went to the admin building then?
1982, the school district gave it to the village.
Okay.
That, my daughter's kindergarten class was the last class. I'm sorry, she graduated in 82.
So at some point,
No, she's
some point in time, we went from having meetings in the hall.
born in 82.
That's a graduation.
Okay.
Let's stop.
Okay. So it's at some point, we were meeting in the village hall, and then we moved up to the admin building. You've been here 19 years, Ben.
Mhm.
Have we been, forget about COVID and 20, because that's when we moved in here that I recall. But before that had been up at the admin building.
Correct.
Okay. Okay. I don't disagree with your philosophy, Rick. I like using this building too.
I guess my thought is, and we kind of got away from the kind of problems we're trying to solve in some ways. Maybe Village Hall and improvements, making it more accessible, making it a more viable place for more people to come and enjoy. Maybe that is another future capital project that we're thinking about, as opposed to trying to, I don't know, and fix it in at the same time that we're trying to fix the admin building,
Yeah.
which has been identified as a previous problem.
I guess where the conflict comes in is under number 1, keeping the admin building the way it is. I don't think there's enough room without doing this. This would almost have to be done, and we'd have to have all the meetings downtown. Otherwise, there wouldn't be enough room in the admin building. If you looked at the sketch of the admin building under existing conditions, about, I think, a third of the space is used for meetings. And that doesn't leave a lot for improvements to the whole operation. So I think alternative number 1 requires us to be down here. Alternative number 2 does not.
Correct.
That could still be an option under alternative, number 2 and number 4, I meant to say. That could be an option under both those alternatives, to be down here and to change the design of those 2 alternatives. But option 1 requires us to be down here. There wouldn't be enough room in the existing building.
And option 2 is with the small addition, right?
Correct.
So we're modifying the look of the building.
Just the part of it that was already modified, the addition, it wouldn't be modified from either Norway or Q.
But we're still modifying it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going to remove the addition that was built.
I would like to get a second opinion as well. I don't have anything personally against Kelly, but I don't also think that there's also more creative architects
Mhm.
with different views different engineers with different views.
Mhm.
So I think to best serve Ephraim, I think we need to get a second opinion
On this building.
on this building.
Right, right. We're satisfied with the work they're doing on the administration building.
Is from what standpoint?
The options they've given to us in the drawings and so forth.
Yeah,
And the layouts.
I don't have any problem with the layouts. I don't think it does, to me, it makes no sense to stick all that money into that building when you can build new and you can have everything the way you want it.
Right.
That's my concern.
Tim, comments on?
Well, yeah, I agree with what Rick said, and I agree with Matt. I would prefer, this has been the village hall. If we stop calling the admin building and call it the old Ephraim Schoolhouse and call this the village hall, you know, you shift your perspective a little bit.
Mhm.
If this building has always been the village hall, and honestly, a modification to keep it the village hall isn't quite that big a deal when we also think about, well, and we can still use the schoolhouse for all the administrative tasks and voting and committee meetings when if and when necessary. I think the idea of a second opinion is a great idea, but we should probably, you mentioned there was accessibility issues we'd have to look at. In other words, find a way to make accessibility work better. And that includes taking the stage out altogether, getting.
Or just, they were suggesting a ramp.
Okay.
One of these doorways would be
Well,
a
then
ramp.
extending the stage?
Yes. Extending the
Okay,
stage.
that part I was missing. It's
Yeah.
like lose
The
the stage.
stage would be
or
the same
whatever.
height, but
Yeah.
extended.
And would it have to be this height? Could it be brought down to one step instead? We ought to be thinking about things like that. That would make a ramp and accessibility, at least to this area, a whole lot easier. Yes, we're still looking at, well, look, right now there are 6 of us up here, and there's enough space for 9. Okay, let's keep that in mind. I'm not interested in eating up a lot of this room, not because of our village board meetings. This room could be half this size and we'd have enough room for our village board meetings. But yeah, whether it's the pancakes or other events, the music in the village, having as much space as possible, I think is something we need to look at. Try to keep that. That's one of the neat things about the village hall. Now, the communications, the media type communication is an issue that I think I would appreciate some great creativity on. And, that would include either softening up the floor or the walls and or the ceiling. But these are things that we ought to be, saying. These are the issues that have come up. And, the first architect said, these are problems. Well, I don't think he's making that up. I think that's true. We ought to be sure that we are addressing those issues: accessibility, size, and sound. When I say sound, I mean electronic media, and for the inside the just the acoustics in the room. I don't think. Well, I would be open to looking at changing some of what we have on the walls and the ceiling. I have trouble with the floor. Softening up the floor means a cleaning issue with any kind of other use. However, we ought to be looking at all and maybe it's the audience would like this: softer chairs. Yeah. There are things that could be done that we need to look at instead of saying, here's a whole list of reasons why it doesn't work.
Right. Okay.
Let's try to come up with a list of solutions or things that changes we would have to accept in order to make it work. I'd like to look at it that way before giving up on this building in terms of its municipal function.
Brent,
it's the same hat, whether I'm sitting here in this chair or part of the 3-member team, out there. Carly alluded to this. Andre and Kim did a good job tying out to kind of the mission of CAP ad hoc. The experience here, which again, I leaned into heavily in the conversation about what we would have to do here, is the experience for the person sitting up here and the person sitting out there and the person sitting at home listening in.
Yep.
And certainly the acoustics of this are huge. But one of the huge things that Chuck Pearson talked about and what we talked about with our wastewater project, with the maintenance project and this project is, investing in, where our people are doing work. So I guess that's the only thing. And I know I'm preaching to the choir, but just to be cognizant and aware of the day-to-day operational impact. Because again, I'm not going to sit here and say I attend every committee meeting of this village. I try to if there's anything significant. And again, it's just a handful of days, but let's just roughly say that's 5 committee meetings a month. Because there's basically one a day. We don't stack them all on Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, which would be an administrative hassle as well. But for those 5 days, when we have an admin office that has to stay open from 8 to 4, and we have meetings here, if I attend, that means 5 days a month, no one in the administrative team can take vacation.
because somebody has to be here for minutes also, so that's 2/3 of the team
Okay,
is down here.
okay, yeah.
I'm not saying there's not a creative solution.
No, that's a
You
good
know,
point.
if the acoustics, the audio is fixed and we don't need a physical minute taker here and they can do it up there, or if we close the office when that's happening, again, there's solutions to that. But just looking at the operation as it functions presently, that is, I'll call it a shortcoming.
Well, maybe to the list of things that I had mentioned, we need to have input from administrative staff to be sure that whatever changes, whatever problems we solve don't create new problems and actually take care of issues that the staff has presently.
I think that was part of the idea of their memo, but I had
Yeah.
forgotten your point on that. So we have 5 committee meetings plus the board. Is that a 6th?
I mean, boards at night.
That's true.
Um,
Okay, so
And
you're right.
that's one that's, while it's a challenge, we've kind of gotten used to it. But
But
should
your
you have-
point of 5 out of 22 days, the average
Mhm.
number of work days in a month, 2 of the people need to be here. So that means the third person needs to be there so we don't close
Mhm.
the admin building. I guess that's been a problem since we've done the switch with COVID.
Yeah, and we make it work.
Mhm. And did you want to make a comment?
I was just gonna mention something about the architecture. That is, when you sit out here and you look at this here, it almost looks like all of this, the stage, these partition walls, and everything around that's here. And Keith and I were just whispering here before, there's a possibility that this solid or hardwood floor goes all the way under there.
It does.
Yeah.
It does.
So this could, look at all the extra space you could have just by taking the stage out.
Mhm.
I think that's a question for an architect or an engineer. I don't think this partition up there, I think it was just there whole way for stage purposes. So you can make a whole lot more room in here, more than one do that.
Without going out. Mhm. Well, it's a consensus then that do we want to get an independent architect to give us some options, what could be done here? Sure.
Just as somebody who does use this building a lot, as you're looking through plans, I would say personally, on behalf of the EBC, any options that keep the public use of the stage would be helpful for us because we do use the stage, whether it's for Santa being here and for the kids being on there, for musicians. We use the screen for movie showing. So I think as you're going through options, if you could keep in mind like being able to use the stage. Obviously, it might not be able to happen, but we'd love for it to be able to happen.
And that creates one of the conflicts that Brent has mentioned about the amount of time he spends in just troubleshooting, getting down here early to make sure everything works because we break it down. So one of the things that I think we agreed to is we need to build something permanent, whether it be in the admin building or whether it be here. So that would, I don't know, maybe an architect would have an idea of
That's why we
how
need the second
to
opinion.
do that.
Maybe it's not workable, and then that forces us into something else. But let's not give up on this building.
Okay. Is that a
Yep.
consensus?
Yep.
Okay. We will do that.
Keith has
Architects we've worked with?
You want to speak, Keith?
Well, we never tear the building down, but what we just talk about is a modification up here. Yeah, we would never, no. Mhm. Okay. Well, we can take a deeper dive into what we could do to accomplish a permanent setup and good audio visual with maintaining as much of the building as possible.
I think we also need to make sure accessibility is a part of that conversation.
Oh, absolutely. No,
No, I just want to make sure it's
yeah.
clear.
I mean, again, we came back here at COVID because, Tim and I were both on the board then when was that your first term yet? Were we back here already when you got on the board?
He was on board by then. Yeah.
Okay.
Because there was only two of us that didn't want to wear masks. If you.
But I meant-
correctly.
I meant your first meeting, I think, was in here.
No.
Oh, were
I've
you at
been
the
in
admin?
building.
Okay, I didn't remember when we came back here, but, okay. Okay, go ahead.
I want to echo. When we had meetings up at the village office, in the admin building, there were many times where there was nowhere near enough seating.
Right.
And the only way to solve that problem is to at least double it. Because there's those times. And we don't want, to forget that, because we've both experienced it, Tim's experienced, Brett's experience.
Well, the layouts that we're looking at, either modifying the existing admin building or building a new one, would accommodate like a 40-person meeting.
I think more, wasn't it? Like, I thought it was 60, 70.
In addition on to the fire station for meeting rooms for them, they could be shared with the village meetings.
No.
That
There has-
had come up a few times,
Right.
It's 50.
and it's an easy add.
50.
Well, I think one of my goals is this is kind of the last of the capital projects. And given the fact that we have 3 people working here and giving the fact that the building has problems, it's been leaking for years and years and years. And it's not a matter of a new roof. The roof was replaced in 2013. It's a matter of the roof design. I mean, that's where we end up with ice dams and leaks. I wanted to continue to focus. If we start saying, what about adding on this, or what about moving the building to another site? I mean, you're talking about years to get the thing done. So I also wanted to keep a pressure on this thing to get this building repaired and a decent place for our people to work. So those are kind of the trade-offs and looking at a lot of options. But the idea of either adjusting the admin building or building a new one, in both cases, they would have a large permanent meeting area where all the audio visuals would be permanent. There'd be enough seats there for the plan committee. And then if we ever had a really big public hearing like the streetscape days, we could still come back here and use this. We could still do that.
We just kick the fire chief out, then we could have as many people up there as we want.
So you can't count, huh? Okay, would anybody like to add any further comments to this?
I guess I would just encourage everyone to remind themselves of the problems that we're trying to solve. Again, with this project, I think, I don't want to discount any of the discussion, but I think we tend to get away from the problem we're trying to solve. So just, we put together a thoughtful document with that in mind.
Okay, let's move on. Our group has its marching orders to look at get an architect involved and see what we can do with this space right here. Number H, letter H, discussion update regarding village purchase of parcels 121-24-0033B and 121-24-0031C. And I alluded to that earlier in this meeting, but Brent, any other comments you want to make toward the acquisition?
No, I guess, just briefly, previously, Ken, you'd, made a statement in the previous project about me being here 19 years. It'll be 20 in November, and I can at least speak during that timeline. This piece of property has always been one or these two pieces of property that we've always been interested in. It basically connects the dots. Obviously, we have the marina and park on the south side, and we have an expansive length of park to the north. So yeah, again, thanks to Keith for giving us an opportunity to get involved in this and have the opportunity to purchase. As you said, we did. At this point, obviously the board had a closed session to discuss the purchase and price and all of those good things. But at this point, there's no immediate plans for what we're going to do with it. It's just, seizing an opportunity that we had. So with that, there are no immediate plans for what we're going to do with it. Obviously, it's an extension of our park to start. And then from a financing standpoint, obviously we did a bit of due diligence beforehand, just from a financing standpoint. Obviously, we wouldn't undertake this if we weren't comfortable that it was a wise financial decision as well. But we paid cash, but a conversation we'll be having probably next month is just what other, funding opportunities are there. So we'll be getting additional numbers from banks. What would look like from a long-term debt standpoint if we wanted to reimburse ourselves for that. So as we talked about kind of in the last phase of capital projects, when we first went through the streetscape project, which we, $4.85 million bond for that. We went through a credit rating. So it's a deep dive into our financials, our financial policies, and the financial health of our overall accounting. So that, at least for speaking with the admin team, and the board has been aware of these conversations and involved in the past, kind of establishing those levels of fund balances, capital reserve accounts, room tax monies held in reserve, unassigned fund balance, as kind of a benchmark where, basically we achieved the highest credit rating we could for a municipality of our size, and we want to keep that. So I guess that's where we'll be taking a look at that relative to the big picture of this is, do we want to reimburse ourselves, or are we in a position where we can, afford to deplete cash on hand and just address the next capital project when it comes. But more on that to probably come next month.
Okay. Sounds good. Any questions from the board? Okay. Thank you, Brent. And then let's go on to I. Discussion consideration regarding posting of meeting minutes and recordings on the website. Toss it back to you, Brent. You did the research here.
Well, Kim did the research
Kim
here.
did the research here.
And I think she tapped John to be a guinea pig a little bit. So she did work with YouTube, I think, for a posting and a hosting place, because our website doesn't have the capacity to take on those MP4 files with that size over time. So essentially with YouTube, it's free. It's just a link from our House Village website to a free YouTube account, just kind of as a test, where I don't think she sent any public notification that, you know, the meeting recordings for this meeting and that are online, but we put them out there just for us to take a look at. And being John was interested, forwarded that information to John, and it seems as though he's pleased with that. So,
Okay.
so
Yeah, I
guess
tried it too.
with that, just if that's the direction the board wants to go, we have a mechanism to do it.
And for the board's information, I think it comes out in the backup. There's no charge by YouTube regardless of the amount and the
Nope.
storage.
Nope.
Pretty amazing.
I don't think we'll get ad revenue from it.
I just have one quick question. Is there any sort of requirements as far as archiving this information? This is more just a request that would make things more accessible for people information wise, but we don't have to worry about, like, I don't see YouTube going anywhere, but we don't have to worry about like losing access to these videos at some point. There's no requirements in
This-
any way.
They just see a copy. They don't get original information, right? I mean,
It's more just like, I know we've talked about like storage, like retention and things like
Mhm.
that. There's no requirements as far as videos
No.
of minutes or meetings. That's what I'm asking.
You know, and it's certainly become commonplace, you know,
Mhm.
it's been a while since I've been at a training where it came up, but, you know, a decade ago, the concern then was, well, if you have comments on and people leave a comment pro or against something, then that becomes a public record, and, you know, it's a big area of concern, but now it's fairly common. So I don't think there's a whole lot of concern relative to that. And yeah, from a record standpoint, it's really just about transparency. So if something happens and it goes away, or the file gets corrupted, I don't think we have any liability, I guess, if that's the right word that way.
Do we currently meet the open law requirements?
Sure, absolutely.
do we want, do you want a motion on this then for the board to proceed as we've done using YouTube as the server? Or could it be a consensus or? what do we need to
I
do?
for one, I don't think we need to do this.
Okay,
I don't see the point. We meet the open law requirements. All of our meetings have a way to come into it. If you miss the meeting, you can go and get a recording. I don't, what problem are we trying to solve here? Somebody would say.
someone that wants to listen to the meeting.
Then they can request a recording.
How soon after the meeting happens, would this be uploaded to YouTube? Is it right away? What, same day? Is it
Probably the
day?
next day to be safe, you know?
Is it strictly, it's, if you will, read only? In other words, there is no interactive element here. It's strictly
It's just
to view.
Yeah.
There's a
To-
couple
to
on
view
our
and listen.
website, if you go on the village website, there's a
Well-
couple there, the videos right now that are already posted up there.
Yeah, and I haven't.
Yeah, it's just like looking at a recording.
Okay, if it is,
It's a
I'm
video.
just saying, this isn't like another, we already have an interactive system. I don't even know what to call it. You know, there are people online watching,
Right.
they can key their mics and they can contribute to the meeting. But what this would do, this is strictly to watch
Mhm. It's
and
almost like
listen.
kind of taping a program and watching it
Yep,
later.
after the fact.
Yeah,
It's almost like what it's like.
Wouldn't be the first community in our county. Most of them,
Mhm.
in the schools. So it's just it's a way for people to go back and review, if they miss something, they want to listen to something again, that sort of thing. And yes, Matt's correct, somebody can ask for it. But that takes resources and time and requests and emails and all sorts of things. This is just basically one upload and click and you're done.
Yeah, that was just going to be my only question is what the administrative burden is to it, but it sounds like it's pretty straightforward.
I mean, yeah, even if one person requested the recording of a meeting under the current system, without YouTube, it's a couple of clicks to upload as opposed to, if John were to request it request it now, the files are too large to send. So it either, do you have a Dropbox, do something like that, or come up with a flash drive. So from a pure labor standpoint, it would be less labor this way.
There's no additional tech requirements, right?
No.
We have everything we need.
So, yeah, these files are too big. If I would request a long ago meeting, you couldn't email that to me?
Very doubtful.
Be too big.
I mean, unless it was a 10-minute meeting
Yeah,
or something
okay.
like that, but, and there's not a way to, because these are MP4 files, because it's audio and video. We looked into that, if there's a way to pull the video out of it and just do it as an MP3, and that's not possible. If it was purely an MP3, that would be more doable from an email standpoint, but video files are large.
What's the source of the video? Is it separate? Is it new cameras or?
No, it's
just
this.
RLs?
You basically see what the people at home see. That gets recorded. If you've ever watched one of these remote.
Yeah. In other words, the YouTube would be basically what is being shown on the screen right now.
Yep, it would
Right.
be the digital packet, everything.
Oh, the whole screen.
Yep,
Right.
just like you see it
Okay,
on the
okay, I
TV
see.
right now.
Mhm.
I see.
And the interaction with anybody out in an online audience also. That would be on there
Okay,
for review. You can't, once it goes to YouTube, you can't interact with it.
right, right. That was my
There's no-
first
there's no
question.
editing.
Yeah,
Yeah, it couldn't corrupt it.
right, yeah.
Well, somebody want to give me a motion and then we can at least get it on the table?
I move to request the posting of meeting minutes and recordings on the village website through YouTube.
Okay, and a second.
I'll second.
Okay. Any additional discussion?
This sounds very easy, free and easy.
She's saying it's very easy.
It is. The only interaction we would have with the public is through a comment section, no actual effect on video. It can be used to help create community engagement, to advertise events. We are legally allowed to do it after the age of 13. It is incredibly easy to do. It is basically just being on a Zoom call, but you can't interact with them, they will watch it.
I was surprised too that there'd be no charge and no limit, given the size of the files, but apparently there's not.
You're a lot younger than me. You have no idea how I can mess up tech. And I have to wrap my head around tech, but I appreciate your input. I can mess up tech like you wouldn't believe.
Okay, any additional comments? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Nay.
Opposed? Okay, passes, I believe, 4-1. All right, thank you. J, discussion regarding North Path tree planting proposal from Tom Wolf. In your packet, Tom Wolf is a horticulturalist who did the recommendations and plantings of trees in Egg Harbor. He's a pretty accomplished guy. Brent and I met with him. We said to him what the village was looking to do on the first 1,000 feet of the North Path, where we took down all the cottonwood trees that were in the way of replacing those trees. And we asked him for a proposal And that's what you're looking at here. He gave a proposal very specific to the types of trees. He works interesting. He works kind of a design, build, delivered, staked, planted and everything. It's kind of a turnkey operation. You just have to decide what you want. And so he recommended here, I counted 22 trees. There's about 1,000 feet, linear feet out there. So that's about 50-foot spacing. I don't know if anybody had the chance to dive into any of these trees, but what I was going to suggest, I had a couple ideas, is for number one, everyone to take a look at. I mean, we have time to do this, but if we're going to do it, we should do it in the fall. To take a look and do whatever research you wanted to do. And then to number two, shoot it over to physical facilities and get their input relative to, I think we took down 15, 18 trees total, I want to say.
I can get that. number.
Almost all cottonwood and a maple, to give you an idea. So we said to Tom, we wanted to replace, he didn't see what was there beforehand. It was gone by the time he got there, but he looked at the environment there, the other trees that are there. As you see, he did it property by property. Yeah, I don't know if we want to say, no, our standard tree is alternating this and that, or if we want to do something unique like this. It has nothing to do at this time with any properties north of this. This is just, in my mind, a replacement of the trees we took down the first 1,000 feet. So that would be my suggestion, is we all take a look at this and maybe toss over to physical facilities and for your committee to review this, the types of trees, the spacing.
Does this interfere with the solar bollard location?
We can make sure it doesn't. Those are at 100-foot spacing, but that's really our call on exactly where we put those. That we'd also like to do in the fall. And of course, there's, as you know, there's no wiring there. So unless there was a direct, and we could give your committee the layout for the solar bollards too. But yeah, we definitely want to coordinate the two.
And the only thing I want to say is when Ken and I met, you know, other than talking about the first 1,000 lineal feet and a ballpark of how many trees were removed, which he did have some experience. He had worked with Colin before, so he knows the area.
Yeah.
But we didn't talk about spacing or quantity or whatever. This is his own creation. We had no input into the scope of what this proposal looks like.
Did Tom say anything about these trees having any kind of native quality to them? I mean, crab apples, yeah, we have crab apples up here, I guess. And apple trees are kind of cheating anyway because they were all introduced, but I would, you know.
That's a good question. We can get back to Tom and ask him for his response.
Yeah, I know Tom, I respect him. I'd like to hear more about that part.
I'd also just appreciate a visual so I could really like understand kind of the scale and the spacing. That's just more how my brain works.
I don't know if Tom has those capabilities or not. That's probably something we could work on. A type of a visual.
Got some little paper models, really. So that's.
But I thought it'd be good to get it. I mean, here it is July, August, September. You're probably talking planning October, November.
Yeah, that's probably.
Yeah, so this gives us enough time to decide what we want to do out there. So
Along with that, what Matt mentioned, we really should try to get a bollard placement, try to get that schemed out.
We've got that on the plans.
I know it's on the plans, but I never took that as a serious final.
What we did on the plans, it avoided obvious conflicts, not including trees. You know, we tried to do 100-foot spacing to bollards. That's what they're based on.
Well, now we're looking, we want to look at the bollards and think about trees going in.
Right.
Right. And the bollard placements may change a little bit. And this gets away from the trees, but going further north on Highway 42, because the trail now exists, and placing the bollards is going to be a little bit more realistic.
Well,
But that should.
but we
blend
built
back
it
into the
realistically
first
to the
1,000.
plan.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, but I mean, there were curves and bends. Maybe that was all on the plan. I know that when it was put down, it didn't look, it didn't look the way it felt on the plan.
Well, I hope it was in the 10 feet.
Well, I'm sure it was. I'm just,
Yeah.
it's my perception
Yeah.
is what I'm saying is, normally I can be pretty comfortable with the plan, but the way that turned out, I kind of let that go and let it go in because it was going to go in where it fit.
Mhm.
Um,
Well, we
And it's
have
great. The
flexibility
bollard-
on both.
Yeah,
Both of it is our call.
well, so back and forth, the bollards have to get placed somewhere and then look at the trees and then adjust the bollards or whatever.
We could do both, right?
But I think that has to be looked at so that we don't want the trees blocking the light from the
I agree.
bollards.
Now, the bollards have to be within the right of way. Now, the trees, I'm trying to remember this. Because we have a barrier curb, the trees can be within the state right of way up there.
Should be allowed to.
Yeah.
They certainly are in Egg Harbor.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
because of the curb. So I guess that would be our goal. We really don't want to get into private property if we don't have to, because then we have to go through
Trees,
the
yeah.
whole permission thing. So we like to keep the bollards and the trees
Mhm.
in the right of way. And for your committee, Matt, if you don't have a plan set, of course, you can get the plan set that shows the bollards in that
Right.
first 1,000 feet.
And at some point, obviously it's all in the plans that went to the property owners for easements and things like that too. Not everybody has an easement, obviously, but
Right.
they probably wouldn't want to look at lath, but at some point in time, maybe it's just a dot on the ground with paint or something. But at some point, it'd be worth roughly marking things out on the ground too.
Yeah.
Not hire a surveyor to come do
Right,
it,
we
but just
could do that.
using,
No, just
using
walk out with the
landmarks, we
tape
can
and
get
put 'em
close.
down.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, as we get north now, the bollards have to be within that 10-foot easement.
Yeah.
They have to be in there.
Yeah, within, okay, yeah, that lateral, it just, the lineal spacing is gonna, that's what, I want to see that works
Mhm.
as well,
Mhm. The bollards, we want to put them all in the fall. Trees, we're just focusing on the first 1,000 feet. We're not really talking
Right.
about any
No,
trees
you're not
beyond.
doing any trees after
No.
1,000 feet or so,
We just,
that open area.
yeah, that'd be some future idea if there was
Mm-hmm.
one, so.
Are we kicking this to PFU now, or is the board having another kick at it
No.
next month?
Can we do it simultaneously? I mean, right now for the board to look at, investigate a little bit. We will contact Tom and ask him if they're native trees.
Yeah.
Just for
I
clarification.
just have that question,
Mhm.
if, are they native? I'm not, and the exact number, I don't care,
Yeah,
as
Yeah.
long as there are enough.
Mhm.
We don't have to create a forest, but I'd like to see something natural, that they don't have to be spaced equidistant
Right.
either,
Yeah. Well, I think he picked trees with the idea of complementing what was there on private property.
The only issue I have is with those 11
Capultas?
catapla
Catalpa.
trees.
Yeah.
Because if you do some research, they have really big roots
Hmm.
that would initially, once they get big, it could ruin our path. And I think that's something that out of all of them, that's the only one that I have an issue with.
You know what, when we get a hold of Tom, let's ask him a question.
Yeah. That's. Okay.
Do you see a problem with doing it simultaneously?
No.
I think we're all working together here
Yeah.
on this.
Nope. And we can do some Google searches and, have whatever, spring, summer, fall pictures of what the trees look like. Some
Sure.
of them flower, some don't.
Well, yeah.
Okay. All right, and K, the end of 8 here is update, discussion, consideration regarding Liberty Tree planting and plaque ceremony. I was thinking, since the plaque is now produced and it's being mounted on a stone right now. If anybody would have an interest, I was thinking about the possibility of having kind of an unveiling of the plaque on a Monday night, say right before Music in the Park. We'd have people there. And it seems to me, although we're a little bit late, in the scheme of 250 years, not that late, but to kind of recognize the tree and the plaque, I think the wording on the plaque is pretty good.
The war took like 6 years, didn't it?
Yeah, at least.
Okay.
Yeah.
We got time.
We got time. So I don't know if there'd be an interest in that, of getting the village board out. Again, like 6-ish, Music in the Park starts at 6.
Yes.
Okay. So, before that, so we don't interrupt that.
So throw a canvas over the rock the night before or something like that.
Yep. We're going to have, Justin will be assigned to guard it. The rock, don't. Sure. Uh-huh.
I'm just looking at our lineup of musicians. And the musician on July 27th is Eddie Larson's Classic Memories Band, and he's very patriotic. It's like a 9-piece band, and they do a lot of like patriotic songs. So the unveiling of a Liberty Tree might go hand in hand.
That's the
with
27th?
that musician, the 27th.
Does he
I
have
don't
a
know if you
bugler?
Yeah, they
Does
do
he have
tap,
a bugler?
they do taps. His last song is he does taps. And he has all of the servicemen
There's
and women stand up.
July
So
27th, okay.
that's
Let's
just
pencil that in if we're kind of consensus to move forward with that if the board.
Let
Okay.
Cody know.
Yeah,
he
see
can
if
put
it fits in
pressure
that,
on
but if it fits in your
Yeah.
time frame, that would
Man.
probably be a good musician.
Okay, so that's
for
2 weeks
it.
from yesterday.
Right.
Okay, great.
So I know it's quick, but just looking at the rest of our schedule, that one seems like it
Okay.
would probably
It's
line
gonna
up
happen.
best.
Let's put it
As
down.
you say, Tim, nothing's impossible if you don't have to do it yourself.
Well,
That's right.
our
That's
task,
right.
our task force on this, thank you, is Matt, Carly, Brent, and Cody. But Cody's the guy with the plaque, so he's the most important right now. Carly or Matt, would you be willing to get a hold of Cody and see if this is reasonable?
Well, the
I
plaque is
so
really
I
just-
I was in touch with him like earlier today,
Uh-huh.
and he didn't get he was dropping it off, but wasn't sure if he wasn't going to be able to give me a timeline because I
Okay.
wanted to be able to provide it. So I know he knows we want it, so I don't think it'll be a problem.
Okay.
I'll just have another plug for watering the tree.
Where,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
where is the stone right now?
The stone is with Mike Anderson, who's going to be doing the mounting.
Okay, it's up here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So basically he just has to epoxy it to the.
Yeah, I don't
mean,
think
this
it'll take
isn't
long.
A weak project.
How big is the
Glue,
plaque?
glue the plaque,
Yes.
all the stone.
Is the plaque like
Cover
this?
I actually don't know
No.
the
Okay.
size. I don't think it was that big.
It was like, I thought like this.
Okay.
Maybe a
It was
little
like,
bit.
wasn't it?
I don't remember the number.
I don't think
It is what it is.
Make it a
Okay,
bigger
okay.
plaque for the 500.
Okay, we won't design it from afar, but we're going to target then the 27th. Okay, thank you. All right, let's get on to 9. This looks long, but it won't be that long. Airport. 9A, discussion consideration regarding village's position relative to future expansion and property purchases associated with the current master plan discussion. To give you all a little background, I attended a meeting at the airport. It was a public meeting. I won't call it a public hearing. It was last Thursday. And it was basically a repeat of what was done in March, where the consultant for the airport presented their preferred alternatives for everything that we've discussed. In fact, if you look at that little write-up I did, that came from our minutes, and basically they reiterated the support of runway 1432 rebuild, option D, 300-foot extension. They reiterated runway reorientation of runway 119, continue to be a turf runway about 10 degrees to keep the entire runway and protected areas off the ends on the airport property. They repeated the current hangar development option as being A1. And then they repeated the future hangar option expansion was building alternative D. At the meeting, which I mentioned here in my write-up, the possibility of obtaining the parcel of property in Ephraim immediately to the north of the existing hangars for future hangar development was discussed. And Drossik emphasized this would be done only if the owner was willing to sell. And I stood up and I said, the village of Ephraim is against an expansion of the airport. And that would be for new hangars. And here's what my concern is. 6 years ago, when we did the original airport layout plan, and I was just on the board then, you were on the board then, they had an airport layout plan. This is the first master plan, but the airport layout plan is an integral part, basically a summary of that whole master plan. And I remember being told at the time, oh, we can list all these things on here. It's not necessarily we're going to do them all, but if they're not on here, we can't do them. And then that kind of flip-flopped into, no, we've approved them. And my concern here, if you go out to the airport and look at the existing hangar expansion, if you haven't driven down Maple Grove Road, drive down Maple Grove Road. And part of the airport's position right now on hangar specifications is a hangar has to be a minimum 25 feet by 25 feet and a maximum height of 35 feet. It's a big tan building. And they could fit 25 of them on that piece of property, that 12-acre piece of property up north of the existing hangars. Now, it would be more convenient to build them there because the taxiways are all there. The connection would be convenient. But I think what we've talked about before is there's plenty of room on that airport property, maybe less convenient, maybe more expensive to put them down on the south end.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So what I want to do is get back to them in writing, if you all agree, that last paragraph, the village's position is we do not support any additional property expansion of the airport for hangar development. There is adequate existing property for extensive new hangar, the adequate existing property for extensive new hangar development. We request that the building area alternative B is removed from the master plan, because what worries me is it's still on there. They say it's not their preferred unless they could buy it. And then it would become their preferred because it'd be right there. And we said, no, our preferred is D, which is on the airport property. And I'm just concerned that if it's in that master plan, in that layout plan, if they get a chance to buy it, that's going to be the option. And now Ephraim, which is across the street, and that is Ephraim, is going to be looking at all these hangar buildings. So that's what I come to you about, is to get back to them with a formal response that'll be submitted as part of the review of this airport layout plan and airport master plan of how we feel about land acquisition of that particular piece of property. That's the only one that they're really considering for hangar expansion.
In the interest of just accuracy, I guess, didn't we also support at the May 12th meeting an extension of the taxiway?
Yes.
Taxiway.
Mhm.
So I think that's not listed here.
That's part of option D.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I just didn't put it on here, but we did. The taxiway will be completed.
So I guess, again, so in this final paragraph, any additional property expansion, do you mean acquisition?
Yes,
Okay, so that
Yeah.
that makes a difference.
we could change that word to acquisition.
And I guess my other question with these, if I remember correctly about a master plan for the airport, part of the reason it needs to exist is because that gives them access to federal and state funding.
Right.
And so I think, and this is where I would want clarification, is there needs to be an expansion plan built into the plan.
There is. That's D, option D. That's putting that additional hangars. There's room for as many hangars as you'd want to build on the south
And
end.
that's enough to qualify to kind of fulfill all of the expansion needs that they would have to qualify for the funding.
Yeah. They claim on average, they build about a hangar a year. I forgot how many are down there, but you could build dozens and dozens of hangars to the south. There's a lot of room to the south.
Okay. And then, and I guess my other question then is, we're saying alternative B would make it a much more expensive option for them to,
It would be more expensive
okay,
because they'd have to have taxiways down there. They have to have a new entrance to that area from the airport.
okay. Because I also just say, we also ask them to be, you know, as an entity that we don't want to pay them any money. So we're also then taking away their option of making money. So we
Well-
are having conflicting,
We are, but they have to be, in my view, more creative. I mean, I would, as a neighbor, really fight all those hangars being built there. We're going to have a wall 35 feet tall, or however tall they are, of 25 feet long of hangar buildings. If you haven't gone and looked, they're just starting to build those hangars. They're big. And I was surprised, I didn't realize that their spec is for a minimum of 25 by 25 feet. These are big buildings, up to 35 feet.
Have you had any conversations with the Gibraltar town president?
Well, interestingly enough, the administrator was there. and
Travis?
Travis was there. I don't think, well, Mike was there to confirm what I'm going to say, but I made the comment that we are not interested in any airport expansion acquisition. And Travis agreed with me. He said the township is not interested either, which kind of surprised me, but he did state that. So I think we have to set aside what's more economical for the airport with what's best for the village of Ephraim.
right, I guess, I mean, I'm just saying that that's in conflict with some of the things we've asked them to
Right.
do. So
Right.
I think we have to also recognize that as
Yeah.
well.
Well,
We can't, in some ways, can't have it both ways in this.
well, I will say to you that we have a lot of hangars here, as you saw, 6 new ones, 3 to be sales. And I wrote an email to the chairman and said, they charge 67 cents a square foot. That's the income from the hangars. And I said, why don't you up that? You know, you've got some big expenses coming up. Why don't you start to save money? And they wrote me back and they said it wouldn't be fair and it wouldn't be professional to increase that amount. Professional, I didn't understand. Fair, I'm not quite sure. There is a 3% escalation in these contracts, and I have yet to see if it's being implemented. So I look to them as our commission to be a little creative in figuring this thing out.
So the only thing here is that we're saying is that we don't like the view of this, because the new hangars, it's not going to make the airport bigger. I mean, the runway's not getting longer.
No,
It's just making the airport more profitable. They're becoming more
Right, which
self-sufficient.
we've asked
want
them to do this
Yes.
multiple times.
right. Right, we have, and they've,
So I guess what I'm saying, this is a thing about how it looks.
yeah, and if we want to give up that piece of property in Ephraim, well, first of all, I don't know how they would pay for it. That would be another topic if they went that way. Yeah, we would have 50 hangars then along Maple Grove Road,
Could we not
which is,
do something, when I say we, I mean probably via plan, to get in our ordinance something that would lessen a visual impact all along, anywhere on the village property. Driving down Maple Grove Road, I would not want to look on, what is that, Elliott's property now.
right.
To look at that property, which
Mhm.
is actually aesthetically pretty nice
Mhm.
right now. But, I would prefer not to look at something as industrial as one hangar, big metal building after another, just in a row. But could we not, from our own zoning ordinance, require like a it would have to be low trees, but a tree buffer of some sort, or
Trees.
berm or whatever, or maybe a combination. Do something that would lessen that impact.
Mhm.
Honestly, I don't like the idea of a bunch of the hangars out in the middle, between the two landing, what do you call it, runways, out in the field either. To me, now granted, that's Gibraltar, not Ephraim, which
Right.
helps me, but it's still ugly. And I don't think anything is going to be done about it down there. It's going to stay as efficient and safe and functional as possible.
Well,
out in the
it's their
open.
property right now.
Well,
It's their, that's the difference. It's their property.
well, understood,
Yeah.
understood. I'm just saying, in the way things work, in the predicting the future or trying to set the future doesn't work very well. We can do something now that will stop things or slow things down for the immediate future. But I kind of see growth as something that's going to happen around that airport.
Mhm.
And rather than trying to stop the growth, we might want to try and make the growth qualify for Ephraim's aesthetic desires along Maple Grove Road.
Is Maple, that's R1, is that correct, Brent?
No, I think that'd be rural residential.
I'm R1. I'm R1. But regardless,
Well,
is,
What if we changed it to AR1,
no, I'm just wondering, is that even permitted
I
anyway?
don't know.
In
well,
the
Well,
zoning?
we created zones. I mean, and again, nothing's impossible if you don't have to do it yourself. I'm assuming, how many villages have protected waterfront? How many villages have historic district? Well, maybe more.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, if we have an area with a specific, either personality, natural, attribute, or in this case, an airport.
But why would we want to let it grow into our residential communities?
Well, I don't know who wants to buy property right next to an airport for their residents. I'm just seeing that as eventually people are going to give up and say, I want to sell it to the airport. Nobody wants to buy this. You know what I mean? It's just a matter of time. And
I don't agree with you on that, but
Yeah,
that can
well,
be.
I don't see it. I don't want to see that property change. Don't get me
Mm-hmm.
wrong. I think it's pretty cool the way it is. I'm just saying, I don't have control over, I don't own it and I'm not going to buy it.
Yeah.
And I guess.
Well, we do have approval of whether the airport is allowed to make an acquisition. That has to come
Right.
to us
Well,
in concert with
yeah,
the township.
I'm thinking, to me, that it's so close to the airport, I think it's just a matter of time. It's going to be hangars.
Mhm.
Whether it's in 20 years or 50 years or 100 years, or, probably not 5 years.
No.
But if we could do something to lessen the visual impact, to make, in other words, if you want to put up those hangars, here's what you're going to do between those
Mhm.
hangars and Maple Grove
Mhm.
Road, so that we aren't looking at those hangars as we drive down Maple Grove Road.
Right.
We're still looking at trees.
Right.
I see that as, and to me, doing that is overall, even though, I can see Gibraltar from Ephraim at the airport, and seeing a bunch of hangars out in that area
Mhm.
doesn't look good to me. What I can imagine doesn't look good either. And I don't think that they would do any,
They can't do any screening because you can't have
no, any
trees
kind of
in the
landscaping,
middle
what
of
can
an
they?
airport, yeah.
Yeah, with an airport, I mean, there are issues.
Right.
So I just wonder if that might be another
Mhm.
course that we could try to take, instead of what I see as fighting the inevitable. I'm not trying to jump ship.
Mhm.
It's just, I think it's going to happen and we really ought to get our ducks in a row so that when the chance comes up, and by the way, all of a sudden, if that property were to be used that way, Ephraim would start seeing tax income from the airport.
The way they wrote that up, that wasn't quite correct.
Oh,
It'd be a personal property tax. Is
Oh.
the income we would see on it.
Well,
They did a
what have
calculation.
we been bitching about for years about Gibraltar getting the lion's share of them?
Because it's it's confusing is what it is.
Okay.
All the property
I
is
feel
held
that.
in joint ownership.
Yeah.
But it's in the town of Gibraltar, so they get personal property tax. I think they've estimated $3,300 for the 35 hangars. So you're right, if they develop, say, $1,000 a hangar is $100 a hangar is what they get in personal property
Okay,
tax.
that's, okay, never.
You're
mind.
not talking about big money.
Never mind that.
Yeah.
It really is a visual. It's a visual, that's the only thing,
Yeah.
is a
Well,
disadvantage.
it takes a little
visual
off our tax
disadvantage.
rolls. So
Yeah,
let's say it's
It
compensated.
wouldn't
Let's say it's a
hurt.
wash.
It wouldn't hurt.
Yeah.
It just, I thought it was a bigger deal money wise.
No, it's not.
The reason why this language is on our agenda though, I mean, what are we trying to do with this? I guess if the discussion that we're having, we can't bind a future board with this anyway. So, I mean,
What it is we are commenting right now on the master plan.
right,
Right.
I get that. That's what I'm saying is that we're here to discuss this statement as a statement of the board's position.
Right now,
And-
exactly.
right now, philosophically. So,
Right.
and it doesn't bind us or any future board to, approving or disapproving any land acquisition or anything else. All we're doing is saying right now, and if you look at this, I mean, we could probably just accomplish the same thing as that as a board, we prefer that the airport not expand, that it not grow. I mean, whether or not you have hangars on the Ephraim side or on the Gibraltar side, I mean, I think that the overall thing that we're trying to accomplish is we want the airport to stay kind of like it is.
Right.
It's less about where the hangars are, I guess, and more about how busy do we want that airport to be, how big the airplanes are, et cetera, et cetera. And I think that we could just accomplish what we're doing. Maybe this has to happen at the next meeting. Just say, look, at the present time, we as a board prefer that the airport stay the way it is.
Yeah.
Because we're not binding a future board anyway.
Right.
I guess one of the things as I was listening to discussion and also just looking at this document, I think that I would edit the last paragraph to say, again, additional property acquisition of the airport for hangar development. There's adequate existing property for extensive new hangar development. I think we can end it there. We've already said our preference is the building area alternative D, which I think it accomplishes that. I don't actually know, is this just recorded as our opinion and our perspective? Or do they have to actually, like, can we actually require them to?
Oh,
take
they'll
it out?
come back we'll have to approve the airport master plan.
Okay.
Eventually, when it's all done. Right now, they're taking comments on the master plan. And that's why I thought it was a good time to say, because even in their presentation, as I said above, their preferred alternative and the one we agreed to is alternative D, which is down south, but they kept B open if they could come to an agreement with the owner without condemnation, which I don't think they realize, but they don't have the authority to condemn anything. That would have to be the village and the township agree. And I don't think the village is in the business of condemning to build things. So that's why I was concerned about getting that alternative B out of the master plan, because once it's in the master plan, as we found out with the last airport layout plan, what we thought was a wish list, all of a sudden became, no, you guys already approved this. And that was my concern. If that's still in there, and
We
it
would still have
becomes
to approve
available.
it though, right?
We would still have to approve the acquisition, you're right. It could come, but I hate to waste a lot of their time if our intention would be, when it comes to us, well, we deny it. we deny the acquisition, then everybody's wasted a lot of time.
Has this been shared with Fish or with Gibraltar?
Not yet.
The statement?
No. Well, I made that statement
Yeah.
At the meeting.
Right. Well, I
made
know,
it,
but I
and-
mean like in a more official
No,
capacity.
that's why I thought bringing it to the board, if we have a position, then that would be shared with Gibraltar and the commission, the airport commission, so they knew. And with the people doing the master plan.
How much of, did you just share basically the last paragraph
Yes,
at that meeting?
Yep. Yep. Because we had talked previously about keeping the airport what it is today. The same size, the same mix of aircraft.
Well, yeah, the runway length keeps the mix of aircraft.
Correct.
That's kind of set forever.
Yeah.
It's a matter of how much the runway gets used
Mhm.
in the future. And that's, that was kind of to my point. My guess is it will get used
Yeah.
more.
Well, even their own projections, which were interesting, is we're under 2% increase a year.
Under 2%.
Yeah, it's like 1.9%. I'm looking at Mike because he and I heard, it was a nominal
Rick makes a
increase.
point that, yeah, we don't have to worry about this. I think you're right. If we take out that last sentence of the last paragraph. Well, no, we want to keep that last sentence in to just say our opinion at this time is no
Yeah.
alternate B.
Yeah.
Okay.
They can come back. They can always come
Well,
back
hey,
to
look,
us.
Yeah, and.
Yeah.
in
I just
5
don't want-
years- In 5 years, a different board's going to look at it
Right.
and they're going to say, we should ask them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ken,
Sure.
whether it relates to this or not,
Mhm.
call it a future protection from a zoning standpoint. Tim, you mentioned zoning. Ken, we talked about district. You're correct. It is R1. Airport is neither a permitted use or a conditional use in R1, which is what that property you mentioned
Yeah.
is. Airports are a conditional use in the rural residential district, which is like the eastern limits
Right.
of Ephraim. So again, I'm sure from a pie in the sky master planning standpoint, the airport commission didn't bother looking into that because it's a joint venture. And if we're in lockstep, we're the village, we can rewrite our zoning code at any
Right.
point in time. But relative to that, even if this board has a change of heart, a future board would change, if this document gets changed or not, they acquire the property, it still would require us to change our zoning code, not
Right.
only to allow airport use as a permitted or conditional use, but even that, all those hangars, even in the most intensive use, unless it's commercial, we allow one principal structure per lot of record. So it would require major overhaul to allow 25, however many buildings on a single lot. Again, the assumption,
Mhm.
nothing's impossible when we control our own ordinance. It easily could be rewritten to allow so, but as it's written, you couldn't do
Right.
that if they came together, or came forward with a proposal tomorrow to build 25
So there's
hangars.
2 chances
Our
to
code
deny
doesn't
it.
allow it.
Yeah, okay, there's so many roadblocks that would have to be.
Yeah.
cleared. They can be cleared, but they would have.
They
to
could be cleared, certainly.
Okay. Okay.
Well, how to feel,
I like what you have written. Let's just approve it.
okay? Well, most of it, the last paragraph is the only
Yeah.
thing that we haven't already talked about. Well, I just gave a summary in the second last paragraph, but the top 3 paragraphs are all things we approved on May 12th. This is taken right out of our minutes.
Right, but to Brent's point,
Mhm.
we only control Ephraim.
Right.
So when it says that we do not support any further hangar development in Ephraim, because if the hangar development is in Gibraltar, we have nothing to say about it.
Well, interestingly enough, we still have to agree to expand the airport jointly. It would be, we're 50-50 ownership. So
Right, but I mean.
even in Ephraim, Gibraltar would have to approve the expansion of the airport. along
Correct,
with
but
us.
we also want to have a good working relationship with Gibraltar.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we could clarify that.
Oh, yeah, clarify, because that last paragraph has to do with hangers on E.
That's all it is, alternative B. So we could add, let's see, the village's position is we do not support any additional property acquisition of the airport for hangar development in the village of Ephraim. We could do, I think we could do this by consensus. If there's a consensus that I can transmit this
I'm good with it now.
to the township, to the chairman of the airport commission, and also to the consultants, because they're the ones that actually ran the meeting, and I've got a contact. They asked for any written comments to be sent to them, so we could send all three. Is that good with everyone?
I'm good.
Okay.
Thank you for.
All right.
doing all this stuff.
Sure. I think the next list there, I was thinking about this. I think we have to do the three-step process independently. For example, in B, it's the first right of refusal, and then the sale, and then the lease. Thinking out loud. So I think we have 3 sets of those, or just 2 sets, I guess now, 2 sets. And then I think the last 6, they're all brand new hangars. Those are hangars that are being built right now. I think we could probably approve those all together in one sweeping motion.
The only thing I agree with,
You want separate motions? Okay. We
the
can do
only
it.
thing I would ask that, and I should have maybe asked you this before, and maybe you don't know the answer to this, is that with Steve Gracely, he said effective date to be determined. And then the rest of them they have a blank date and then no signature from the people who are purchasing them. Should that have been done already? Because we have Steve's signature, but no one else's.
Is that just for the new hangars?
Yes.
That's a good point. It's probably well, no, they're building out there. If you go by there now, they're stick built, interestingly enough, but I would think they want to get these, but there's no signatures. I didn't look that closely. There's no signatures.
Not from Rich, Tom, Laura, John, or David.
A lot of times, and I'm not saying what the case is in this situation, but often when they know they're coming up, we get them. So I think this has been in like our working board packet
Oh, so
folder
maybe they've been
for
signed since.
a week or 2, sometimes 3 weeks. So they could have been signed by now. I don't know.
I am sure they're anxious to get them signed because they're investing in those hangars right now.
I think we should approve them all.
Well, then it
I'm
sounds
fine with
like
that.
we should take them one at a time. So if somebody's got a good reading voice and got some energy left, let's get started with 9B, a discussion consideration regarding right of first refusal for hangar D5.
We have to waive right of first
Yeah.
refusal, right? I move we waive right of first refusal for hangar D5.
Thank you. In a second.
Second.
Thank you, Matt. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye, opposed? Okay. And then C is discussion consideration regarding the sale of hangar D5 from Warren James to Lauren Lopez.
I move to approve the sale of hangar D5 from Warren James to Lauren Lopez.
Thank you. In a second.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Okay. And then D, discussion and consideration regarding lease with Lauren Lopez for hangar D5.
I will move to approve the lease with Lauren Lopez for hangar D5.
In a second, please.
Second.
Thank you, Tim. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye,
Aye.
opposed? Okay, that's approved. Then we go on to E, discussion and consideration regarding right of first refusal for hangar A8.
I will move to remove the first of right refusal for hangar A8.
Thank you. In a second.
Second.
Thank you, Tim. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, opposed? It's approved. Then F, discussion and consideration regarding sale of hangar A8 from Lauren Lopez to Jeff Drasek.
I move to approve the sale of hangar A8 from Lauren Lopez to Jeff Drasek.
Okay,
Second.
second and a second. Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Okay, that's approved. And then G, discussion and consideration regarding lease with Jeff Drasek for hangar A8.
I will move to approve the lease with Jeff Drasek for hangar A8.
A
And
second.
a second, thank you, Tim. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Okay, that's approved. Now we can go into the 6 individual hangars. The first one is H. These are new ones. Discussion and consideration regarding the lease with Steve Gracely for hangar C7.
I move to approve the lease with Steve Gracely for hangar C7.
Thank you. In a second.
Second.
Thank you, Tim. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Okay, next I, discussion consideration regarding lease with Rich Bierman for hangar E7.
I move to approve the lease with Rich Bierman for hangar E7.
And second,
I'll second.
thanks, Tim. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Approved. J, discussion consideration regarding lease with Tom Wilson for hangar F1.
I move to approve the lease with Tom Wilson for hangar F1.
And a second?
Second.
Thank you. And any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Okay, that's approved. K, discussion and consideration regarding lease with Laura Settingsticker for hangar F2.
I move to approve the lease with Laura Seidensticker for hangar F2.
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Approved. L, discussion consideration regarding lease with John Wilson for hangar F3.
I move to approve the lease with John Wilson for hangar F3.
Thanks, man.
Second.
Thank you, Tim. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye, opposed? Okay, lease approved. And finally, M, discussion consideration regarding lease for Dave Kruger for hangar F4.
I move to approve the lease with David Kruger for hangar F4.
Thank you, man.
Second.
Thank you, Tim. Further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye, opposed? None. So it's carried. All the leases and refusals and so forth are approved. Number 10, committee minutes for review. Any comments on the minutes? Okay. Number 11, new business for next meeting.
We, as a green tier, would like the discussion about solar at wastewater to be continued and see if we have like a full enough plan from the engineers to potentially go out for different grant opportunities and continue the conversation.
Okay. We can note that so we get that on the agenda for the August meeting.
I don't want to put extra work on physical facilities, but would now be a good time, since we're looking at trees, to look at more trees or a tree plan for just south of the Firehouse Marina parking lot, where trees were taken out last fall, from the windstorm. Is that something to talk about?
Yes, we can discuss that in the August meeting.
Okay, that'd be great. Thanks.
Anything else for next meeting? Hearing none, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Movie adjourned.
Second, all those
Aye.
in favor? Aye, aye, aye. Thank you. We are adjourned.